Welcome back. In our last video, we focused on the behavior standards as captured in the Code of Conduct for SGB members who serve on governing bodies in our schools. We also had a look at what the process would be if one or more of our governing body members did not abide by that standard and how the governing body would need to respond to it. In this video, we will look at the formal disciplinary process that a governing body needs to follow should they wish to pursue disciplinary steps against a governing body member who has been in breach of the Code of Conduct or the expected standard of behavior for governing body members serving in our schools. So, let's get into it. So let's accept that the governing body wants to proceed with disciplinary action against a member of the governing body. What do we do? The first thing you need to do is to call a disciplinary meeting. Understand that at this meeting, the charged member has the right to be represented by a representative of his or her choice. Understand too that the SGB must assist the member to present witnesses and evidence at the disciplinary hearing should this be required. So, can I suspend a member of the governing body prior to the hearing? Yes, you may ask the HOD to consider suspension of the member from the SGB depending on a set of circumstances. One of these circumstances is that prior to the hearing, a member's continued presence as an SGB member would jeopardize or influence an investigation or disciplinary hearing, or if a member intimidates and or coerces others. You can also do so after a disciplinary hearing where it has been recommended as a sanction if a member has breached the Code of Conduct. If the sanction recommended by the SGB disciplinary hearing is for suspension of membership, a full report must be forwarded to the head of department containing the following indications or documents. 1. Certified copies of the complaint, the investigation, the finding, and the recommended sanction. And 2. The conditions of the suspension clearly indicated as part of the recommendation with regard to whether the time of suspension is recommended, the specific functions or events suspended from, if the suspension is to be partial, or if the relief sought, for example, requirement to undergo training or counseling, not visiting the school or contacting a person at the school or relating to the case, etc. Suspension may not be recommended during a member's term of office for more than 3 consecutive months at a time, or for more than once for the same offence. If a member was suspended on a previous occasion for a serious transgression in breach of the code and is once again suspended for a serious transgression in breach of the Code of Conduct, termination of membership should be recommended. The head of department or head of education may, after requesting clarity from the affected parties, if this is required, change the recommendation conditions of suspension. We now deal with termination of membership by the head of department or head of education. Where an SGB recommends or requests the termination of membership of a member, the head of department must be provided with a full report containing the following. A. Certified copies of the written complaint, the report on the investigation, and the report on the hearing with findings and recommended sanction. B. Evidence of the sequence of transgressions or neglect of duties committed by the member. And C. Proof that the relationship between the member and the SGB and the school has been permanently damaged and that the continuance of membership would have a detrimental effect on the culture of the SGB and the school and or the effective functioning of the SGB, the school, and or the ability of the SGB to carry out its functions allocated to it in terms of the South African Schools Act. The head of education or HOD may refer the recommended termination of membership back to the SGB for an alternate sanction. It is important to note that an SGB only recommends, but the HOD ultimately decides on the sanction implementation. Does a member have the right of appeal? Yes, they do. A member whose membership has been suspended or terminated by the head of department has the right to appeal against the sanction to the provincial MEC of education. The accused member may, within 10 working days after receiving the decision of the head of department, appeal to the provincial MEC against the decision of the head of department. The appeal must be in writing and must contain the reasons why he or she believes the decisions to be wrong. A copy of the appeal must be served on the HOD. The sanction must be suspended while the matter is under appeal. It is recommended that the accused member does not participate in any function of the SGB. The provincial minister or MEC, within 30 days of receipt of the appeal, must do the following. A. Consider the appeal. B. Confirm or set aside the sanction or change the sanction. And C. Inform the HOD, the SGB and the appellant of his or her decision in writing. The SGB chairperson may inform the complainant in writing of the appeal decision within 5 days of receiving the decision from the provincial MEC. Confidentiality and details should be protected at all times. What happens if an SGB fails to take action against its member? In this case, the head of department may direct the SGB to take action against the member within 14 days after an allegation of a breach of the Code of Conduct or any legal transgression has been received by a member of the WCED. If the SGB is unable or unwilling to take action against a member, the head of department must direct the district director to investigate the allegation and to manage the disciplinary process. During this process, at least 2 members of the SGB who have no conflict of interest with regard to the investigation and who are elected by the SGB must serve on the district's investigation committee, and a member of the SGB must attend the disciplinary hearing as an observer. The district director or his or her delegate will be the chairperson of the disciplinary hearing. The chairperson of the disciplinary hearing must do the following. A. Inform the accused of the allegation, provide full details, the date and time of the hearing, and that he or she may be represented and present evidence in his or her defense. B. Inform the chairperson of the investigating committee about the date and time for the hearing. C. Keep accurate notes of the proceedings during the hearing. D. Consider all evidence presented and recommend a sanction. E. Inform in writing the accused and the SGB of the finding and recommended sanction, and if necessary, send a written statement of the hearing finding and recommended sanction to the head of department for a decision. Again, as with the SGB running the process, the disciplinary committee makes a recommendation and the HOD has to ratify that. This brings us to the end of this particular video, which deals with the disciplinary process that you have to follow as an SGB in dealing with ill discipline of a governing body member. In the next video, we will deal very specifically with the disciplinary process that the SGB has to follow when dealing with learners' ill discipline and where learners have come into breach with the learner code of conduct of a school. As always, we thank you for watching this video. We thank you for your feedback, and we remind you to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the subscribe button and then pressing the notification bell so that you are alerted when a video is uploaded to our YouTube channel. We'll see each other soon.